Hello, I'm Rick Gillen, President of Coolerado Corporation. Welcome to Coolerado. Coolerado is fresh, cool, filtered air conditioning that is affordable to install and operate. Coolerado brings high-quality cooling to your home or building like you have never experienced before. With traditional refrigeration or compressor-based air conditioners, you recirculate the same stale air again and again. Recirculating the air in this manner concentrates the carbon dioxide people exhale, making them sleepy and lethargic. Recirculating can also dry the air out too much, adding to an uncomfortable environment. This technology has been around for over 100 years and has not significantly changed during that time. With evaporative coolers, which are more commonly called swamp coolers, you get blasted with unfiltered air that is nearly saturated with water. This high-volume, high-humidity air containing dust and mold is blown into your building and can make an environment that is also uncomfortable. Direct evaporation technology has been around for thousands of years. At Coolerado, we take a different approach. Coolerado coolers bring you fresh, cool, filtered air conditioning that is affordable to install and operate. Instead of recirculating the same stale air in your building over and over, Coolerado adds 50 to 100% fresh, cool, and filtered air. Coolerado air is conditioned to temperatures lower than evaporative coolers, and no moisture is added to the air entering the building. Coolerado brings this high-quality conditioned air to you using 1/5 as much energy as traditional air conditioners without chemical refrigerants or expensive compressors. Coolerado cooling is made possible by a newly discovered thermodynamic process called the mesosynchal cycle. The M cycle, which uses water as the fuel for cooling, is the result of 35 years of work by Dr. Valery Mesosynko. This is a small Coolerado cooler that we use to demonstrate the principles of the mesosynchal cycle and Coolerado cooling. This simple cooler consists of a fan, a dust and allergen air filter, a Coolerado heat and mass exchanger, and a clear plastic box. We start by adding fuel to the heat and mass exchanger. This is just ordinary tap water that is at room temperature. Before I plug in this air conditioner, let me point out that the only component that receives power is this little fan. We have 4 thermometers which have been sitting on this desk a while and have come to equilibrium. They all read about 65 to 67 degrees. We'll place 2 of the thermometers in the chamber with the fan to get a reading of the air temperature before it reaches the heat and mass exchanger. We'll place the other 2 thermometers in the product airstream. Now we'll add some heat with this little personal heater to simulate some hot summer conditions. While we wait for this system and thermometers to stabilize, let me describe what's happening here and how a bigger version of this little cooler could be installed on the outside of your home or building. The Coolerado cooler draws in air from the outside and it enters here. The air then goes through an air filter before it goes into the heat and mass exchanger. Half of the incoming air goes straight through the top portion of the heat and mass exchanger and is cooled without adding moisture to it. This fresh, filtered, and cooled air gets ducted into your building from here. The other half of the incoming air is the working airstream, and it enters into the lower portion of the heat and mass exchanger. The working air is then turned and gets rejected out the top where it is discharged to the outside. This rejected or working airstream removes the heat from the conditioned airstream that enters the building. The working airstream is almost completely saturated with water because water is fueling the cooling process. All the water and humidity comes out the top. No water or moisture is added to the conditioned air that enters the building. We'll zoom in here so you can see where the working air is leaving the top. The working airstream is completely saturated with water. Notice that moisture from the working air is condensing on the clear housing at this end of the demo cooler. Moisture collects here because the temperature of the box is below the dew point temperature of the first portion of the working airstream. This airstream is very hot at the beginning of the unit and gets cooler and cooler as it works its way toward the end. At this end, the working air is still saturated with water, but the air is much cooler. Let me again remind you that the product airstream leaving this end is the same absolute humidity as the air coming in this end. No moisture is added. We've given this demonstration to many experts around the world. They were taught that what we're doing is physically impossible and therefore find it difficult to believe. That is why we build our demonstration coolers out of a clear material. This way, all can see that there are no illusions going on. When we give this demonstration to industry experts, we usually ask, what is the largest temperature depression you've seen across one cooling device? The answer is 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's take a look at the thermometers now. The hot air we're bringing in here measures about 156 to 157 degrees Fahrenheit. The conditioned air coming out here measures about 53 to 54 degrees Fahrenheit. That's approximately a 100 degree temperature drop. That 100 degree temperature drop has occurred in 13 inches of distance. When we view this Coolerado cooler through a thermal imaging camera, we can see the hot 150 degree air entering the heat and mass exchanger represented in red on the left. We can also see how the air gets cooled down to 50 degrees Fahrenheit as it moves towards the opposite end. The U.S. Department of Energy has tested 2 different Coolerado coolers, and both reports show that the energy efficiency ratio, or EER, is above 45. The higher EER number represents higher electrical efficiency and lower energy use. A Coolerado cooler with an EER of 45 is about 5 times more efficient than the best vapor compression systems on the market. Coolerado coolers bring you fresh, cool, filtered air conditioning that is affordable to install and affordable to operate. This high-quality cooling is fueled by water, which is a completely renewable energy source. Coolerado is tapping into water as an energy source by employing the Miso-Cinco cycle. This comfortably cooled air is produced without compressors or chemical refrigerants and only uses 1/5 the amount of power compared to traditional air conditioners. We are very excited to bring this people-friendly, building-friendly, environmentally friendly, and affordable cooling to all of humanity. Thank you for your interest in Coolerado. We invite you to view the next video titled Coolerado Cooling Basics, where we will explore how the cooler and the heat and mass exchangers work in more detail.